Look, I always say if you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. If you hang around with champions, you become one.
You play in the pig pen, you'll end up smelling like one.
In this episode of my podcast, Season 3, I sit down with Kane Watts, who's preparing for another big fight. He's had over 50 fights in boxing, professional, amateur, and kickboxing. We talk about the parallels between fighting, business, having the right mindset, and how to take your game to the next level. This is one great episode. Thank you. In this episode, I'm sitting with Kane Watts, a friend of mine, professional boxer who's had over 50 fights combined in professional boxing, amateur boxing, and kickboxing. He's a multiple champion and ranked in the top 10 in the world. Thanks for joining us, Kane.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So you've got a big fight coming up. We'll start with that on the 27th of Feb.
We have indeed, mate. After a bit of a layoff with COVID last year, I had my previous fight before this was over in Paris to the world title. So I was meant to fight in May last year, and that got cancelled due to COVID, and we've sort of been resting up till then. And yeah, now the opportunity to come back has come upon us, and yeah, we're grabbing it with both hands.
How long have you been fighting for?
I had my first fight 2004, which was a kickboxing fight, which I sort of only set out to have one fight and just test the waters. I'd always fancied myself as a bit of a fighter, and thought I went all right. So I thought I'd better prove myself in the ring, and I did that in 2004, having my first kickboxing fight. And then after that, I just fell in love with the sport, the training, and everything that goes with it.
Now, why do they call you Kane? Kane.
Kane. Well, it started off as Kilowatts back in the day, but one of the ring announcers, Howard Lee.
I love Howard Lee.
Howard Lee, yeah. He gave me the nickname Kilowatts, and then when I turned to professional boxing, he changed it over to Kane and sort of stuck after that.
I love it. Let me ask you, you've had 26 professional boxing fights. Who would you say your three toughest opponents were?
Probably my previous opponent, Arsene Goumarian, the current WBA world champion. He was by far the most credentialed and probably toughest guy that I've fought.
Undefeated as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, undefeated and still the current world champion. And previous to that, probably my first loss against Oscar Ciali. He was a guy fought for many titles, Commonwealth titles and stuff. Very tough Islander. And probably Danny Green after that. So Danny was just didn't beat me with skill or anything, but just got the better of me with experience, I think. So.
Oh, it was a great fight, and obviously 4-time world champion. So, and you went the distance. It was a great fight. So well done on that. Now, I asked this if you could fight any fighter in any era, if you had one opportunity to get in the ring, who would you fight? Any discipline.
That's a tough one, mate. Every era's got their golden superstars that
correct. So one
I would have loved to be in.
Who would you like to have?
My favourite guy to watch at the moment, and he motivates me a lot before training and sparring sessions, where I watch a lot of his old fight clips, is Canelo Alvarez. Just the way he moves
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's probably at the current probably that, and then I don't know, if you go back in time, no one can go past Mike Tyson. It was only recently it was tossing up whether he'd be coming out to Australia. My manager and promoter was trying to get him over, and they were looking at possible matches. And I put my hand up. I said I'd get in there for him, just to say I've been in there with that champion. So
that would be amazing. And Alvarez is a great fighter. I wished I could see him against a Mayweather again, but that's not going to happen. So you also run a very successful plumbing business. What are some of the parallels you find between business and fighting?
The mindset with fighting and just being able to focus on that one goal and striving, putting all your energy and focus into that one thing. I haven't mastered doing that completely with my business, but it's in the process of after I finish my boxing career. I know the way I want to head with my business and what I have to put into it to reach the same sort of success I have with fighting.
And I guess like fighting and like business, you're always going to get a lot of setbacks, knockdowns, knockouts, whatever it came. How do you come back from something like that?
Mate, I've had them. I've had them with business. I've had them with fighting, and I've had that with my personal life as recent with seeing my kids and stuff. You know, but if you don't look after yourself in those situations and keep pushing forward and let that get the better of you, you're no good to anyone. I'm no good. No good to my business, no good to my fight career, no good to my kids. So something you just have to learn to push that negative stuff aside and just strive through to be the best version of yourself.
Because everyone's got that negative stuff. It's just how you overcome and how you show up every day.
It's how you deal with it. A lot of people haven't got the personal tools themselves how to deal with it. But if you're lacking in that area, it's something, there's plenty of help and stuff out there for people who lack in that area.
So you mean resilience, become tougher, and just, I guess the most important part, I think, in business and in fighting is to show up every day and make sure that you commit.
That's it. Show up every day and just give your best version of yourself and keep pushing towards that goal. Like, you might get knocked down, but as the famous Rocky Balboa story, might get knocked down 7 times, get up 8, you know, and keep moving forward.
It's funny you say that because in one of our previous podcasts, we had a 3-time world champion friend of yours, Sam Solomon. Yeah. And I mentioned that, and Rocky's a big fan of his. And he said, and I wish I could remember the name of the fight, he said, Rocky never came up with that saying. He mentioned the old famous boxer that did. Yeah. Rocky just reminded everyone of it. And it's funny because everyone will say it's Rocky. Yeah. How many times do you train? Before leading up to a fight, what does your training week look like?
I train 6 days a week and twice a day normally. Like today I was down at the sea bars. I ran 5Ks down there at 5 o'clock this morning, and then did some work in the pool and out in the bay. And then this afternoon I'll go have a skill session in the boxing gym. So I'm doing that. Try to do that every day, and I'll alternate my gym sessions with sparring sessions, like the afternoon sessions each day. So I'll never spar twice in a row. I'll always have a day off. And
is that so your body can relax?
And recover, like copping hits in the head and your body and stuff. You need to let your body recover a little bit. So.
Of course. And do you stop sparring the week prior to your fight?
Yeah, we always train flat out up until the last week, and then that last week's a taper week, and we just use that to cut our weight and get our mindset a bit more sharper than what it might be, and make sure that everything's falling into place.
So the last week will be based on mindset, sharpening up your skills and just preparing for your fight?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what does a recovery look like after a big fight? Whether it's win, lose or draw, what does a recovery look like?
Mate, it all depends on the fight. I've been pretty lucky throughout my career that I've always pulled up pretty good. The worst things have probably been the after parties, if anything. But yeah, majority injury wise and stuff, I've always pulled up fantastic so far. Touch wood. So yeah, normally I'll take a week or 2 off and just relax and let everything sink in. What happened with the fight and the whole lead up. It's a pretty massive thing to take on, like physically and mentally leading up to it.
Do you watch your fights after the fight and analyse? Some fighters do, some don't, and I always like asking that question.
Yeah, I always watch them eventually. Like my previous one, it took me 8 or 9 months to watch it back. When I fought Danny Green, I didn't watch it back for a year and a half after that fight.
Why is that?
I'm not too sure. Nothing that had personally affected me mentally or anything. I just didn't bring myself to watch it. Like,
that was a 10-rounder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, the fight that you've got coming up on the 27th, how many rounds is that?
It's going to be 8 rounds.
8 3-minute rounds, and obviously you're hoping to get another world title shot in the near future. Yeah, and that's a lead-up fight, isn't it?
This is a lead-up fight, just getting back into the ring, get the ball rolling again with things. It's been just over a year with a bit of a layoff, so yeah, we need to get the ball rolling. And coming up to a big fight like that, you need that pre-preparation, I think, and a couple of good fights under your belt, so you've got your eye in and things in place.
So, like, I know as a fighter, you need to surround yourself with amazing fighters and champions, and I think it's very similar in business. Can you just talk to that a bit? Why is it important to have the right trainer, spar the right fighters, and surround yourself with champions?
For me, I think it's a confidence thing. Like my previous fight, I was going in over to Paris, over the other side of the world to face the current world champion.
In front of 30,000 people?
In front of 30,000 people. That lead up, I flew over to Thailand. I was there for a month training in the back of Phuket in a place called Geelong. And it's renowned for the world's best fighters going there, like UFC guys. And one of the guys I was sparring and doing a lot of training there with a guy by the name of Mark Godbear. He was training up for the World Bare Knuckle Championship when I was there, and after we finished sparring, he went over to America, fought on Kem Shamrock's bare knuckle world title fight, and he ended up taking that out. And it was like that for me was a confidence builder, being able to train with those sort of guys and still be able to mix it with them. There was another guy, a Russian guy that I think he was a light heavyweight world champion who fights on the One Championship.
Yep, which is a MMA.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of work with him as well, and yeah, it's an amazing atmosphere when you're surrounded in a gym full of champions and guys that are striving for what you're striving for as well.
Look, I always say, if you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. If you hang around with champions, you become one.
You play in the pig pen, you'll end up smelling like one.
That's right. Now, so Kane, I've got some quick fire questions. Now, fun fact with Sugar Kane, we're actually on a bridal party together. And another interesting fact, I heard he doesn't box as well when he's had a couple drinks. So that's probably a good time to spar him. Now, Kane, ready for our quick fire questions? Are you ready?
Yep.
If you could have one last meal, what would it be?
One last meal. That's a tough one because food's probably my biggest example. I can't get enough. But yeah, Italian food, probably pizza for me. Wood-fired pizza.
So good old Grady. All right. If your house was on fire and you had to run in to get two things, assuming your family's out, what would you get?
Photo albums.
Yep.
And probably my dog.
Name of a book that you've read that's positively influenced you.
Probably book of Bob Jones, Let the Good Times Roll.
Who would play you in a movie or the story of your life? Which actor?
Been told I look like a couple of actors. I don't know. Denzel Washington's probably my favourite.
That's all right. You turn up and we go.
Yeah.
Now, any tattoos? If so, where?
I've got quite a few tattoos actually. I've got full shorts.
Yep.
And left side of my body tattooed.
Is that if you ever forget your shorts, you can go out with them?
That's it. I can go skinny dipping quite easily and get away with it.
It's pretty cool. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Probably read people's minds.
It's always a good one. You'll be good at poker. If you were not working in your current career or fighting, so if you didn't have a plumbing business and you weren't a professional boxer, what would you do?
I don't know. I've always wanted to steer over to the, I don't know, helping young kids with mindset and stuff like that. So probably mentoring young kids.
It's probably why you drew to boxing. It's you need a great mindset to be a good boxer. When you started out on your career, what was the hardest thing you had to learn? Tell me, both in boxing, fighting, and in your business.
Business. I started off my business without knowing anything about business whatsoever. So I had to learn many fundamentals of cash flow and quoting work, how to relationship build with getting clients and stuff like that. So there was a lot with that, and probably the fighting. I went from a team sport aspect where we were drinking from Friday through to Sunday majority of the time. With a football club was all orientated around the football club, mateship.
Yep.
So when I went into fighting, into an individual sport, it was all about me. Like I I would get up at 5 a.m. I'd be running by myself. No one was driving me to push me to do that stuff. I had probably 6 months when I first had my first fight of all my mates ringing me, telling me to come out, just have one drink. And
never one drink, is it?
nah, if I have one, I may as well have 50.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of mental strength and stuff to focus on that one thing and pursue what I wanted to achieve with that area. So
basically what you said is discipline and getting started. So in business, it's the biggest key points, getting started, because that's obviously going to propel you forward, and you're not going to get anywhere without discipline, which is why you can train twice a day and get yourself up for the fights. Now, from this whole episode, you've shared things about business, you've shared things about boxing. Give me 2 takeaways that you want the audience to take from our discussion today. Besides the fact you need to come and watch him fight on the 27th of February. And I love the ticket names as well, straight out of COVID, which is a classic. Kane is fighting main event, so if you can come down and support him. And we're currently sitting in one of the gyms here where he trains at. Where exactly is the gym?
Superpower gym in St Kilda. So these guys have been kind enough to look after me for many years. So if you're looking to get started in Muay Thai, get down and see Don Miller down at Superfight Gym in St Kilda.
And mention Kane and they'll look after you. So what are some of the key takeaways?
The key takeaways that I would like people to take on is just focus on focus on one thing that you want to achieve, and just show up every day trying to that don't care about the amount of knockbacks and stuff you get, trying to achieve that goal. Just keep showing up every day. And there was a nice saying that I heard Denzel Washington say: if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you'll end up getting a haircut. So
I've heard that too.
If you keep showing up every day and just keep pursuing for that goal, just things will fall into place.
100%. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed this podcast?
Yeah, 10, mate. 10
there you
out
go,
of 10.
solid 10. Thank you for everyone out there. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep punching.